for one thing, the party and the state and the government were too much together. And that, you know, pretty soon you've got bureaucracy, and I think, for me, any bureaucracy is a self-perpetuating thing. You've got to have bureaucrats. You've got to have people that are doing the work of the apparatus. But, you know, people complain that you can go down here to get a file, to get a permit on something, and you can be treated by a clerk who's got, really has the power to say, well, you can't have it. And, you know, pretty soon I can see how bureaucracy feeds on itself. And it got, I have a feeling that that was an element. And pretty soon these bureaucrats have an interest in self-advancement, self-perpetuation. The party, I think, basically lost sight of the need to fight for socialism and for people to understand why they had socialism. That meant they needed to understand capitalism. And I can tell you about a woman who was in the Puget Sound Council of Senior Citizens with me. She'd been a buyer at Bon Marché. She had a good job. She had relatives in the Ukraine, and she would go and visit them. And she told me that, she said, you know, I tell them what it's like here, and they don't believe me. They thought of this as the land of milk and honey. Why? Because they didn't know what they had and why they had it. They didn't understand that capitalism had been defeated there, but it regenerates itself unless you fight it all the time. The ideas, you know, these little entrepreneurs and so forth. Well, all of these things contribute to an attitude of exploiting to benefit yourself. And so I think that the failure to struggle for people to constantly to understand what they had, and it wasn't what it should be. I mean, they didn't have some things, pretty primitive in some ways. But, darn it, they were putting up giving an apartment to somebody every 29 minutes. And it may not have been like one of the big apartments here, but it was the first time people had ever lived in such a situation. So they made great great, you know, strides. But unless you constantly feel the need to fight for what you've got and to help people understand why they've got it and what they got it from, there's always this, plus which the intervention of CIA and all of these outfits. So they were in a very complex situation, and I think the failure to, what we would say, fight for ideology or fight for the ideas of the working class and of the class as against the capitalist owners and capitalist system. So I think those are some of the things that go into it. So Gorbachev and his crew were, you know, promoting that, and he just disbanded the party. It's gone.